Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever edition of You're Off the Case, the Ottawa Hockey Podcast. My name is Clayton Johns, along here with Jamie Shinkuski. And Jamie, guess we should explain to everybody how we came up with the name You're Off the Case.
Well, that just comes from turning on TSN in the mornings, seeing those hosts, Jay Onwright and Dan O'Toole, and whenever those Philly Flyers come on, they see Bobrovsky get yanked from the game, and, well, Bobrovsky, you're off the case. Everybody has moments like that.
Everybody has a You're Off the Case moment. Today we start with the Ottawa Senators. As we are an Ottawa Hockey Podcast, we focus on our Ottawa teams. And this past week, the Ottawa Senators spent a home-and-home with the Philadelphia Flyers. They earned 3 of 4 points Saturday night, 3-2 loss in overtime. Daniel Briere scoring the game-winning goal with just 6 seconds left. The Senators responding Sunday with a 6-4 win at home against the Flyers, one of the Eastern Conference top teams. The Senators now sitting in the 5th position in the Eastern Conference. They moved forward Tuesday with a 5-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. And Thursday night they faced the New York Rangers, who are leading the Eastern Conference, perhaps surprisingly. Jamie, what do you make of the last week for the Senators?
Well, just throughout the whole season, they've been one of the surprise teams. Their young guys have been stepping up, and their goaltender Craig Anderson has been superb. In that second win over Philly, he made an enormous stick save when they were down by 2 goals. And that led to the comeback, and going down by 3 at that point in the game would have really put them out of it. So, they've just been playing hard as a team, and, the bounces are going for them.
Senators definitely one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference recently. In their last 7 games, they've earned 13 of 14 points, including 6 wins, 1 overtime loss, 2 wins in overtime, and 1 in a shootout. Now, speaking of the NHL, we move forward and try to evaluate the past week and the season that has been, and you're going to take us through that.
Well, yeah, we're now at the halfway point of the NHL season, and there's just been some obvious surprises throughout the first half. The biggest one being the Florida Panthers, who sit 3rd in the Eastern Conference, leading their division with 50 points. They've just jumped out, and seems wherever Dale Talon goes, success seems to follow. He pulled off some great off-season acquisitions, and it seems to be working for them. And as I already mentioned, the Ottawa Senators would be another big surprise, sitting 5th with 52 points right now, and they're just seemingly improving as the season goes on. At the halfway point, obviously, we have our all-star coaches, which the coach with the best point percentage from each conference will share coaching duties for one of the teams, and that will be Todd McClellan from San Jose and John Tortorella from the Rangers. And congrats to both of them and both of their teams for their excellent first half. And just to show how close the NHL is this year, halfway through the season, 10 points separates 2nd from 10th in the Eastern Conference, and the same differential separates 1st from 10th in the West.
Anyhow, we move along, and we focus this now on the Ottawa 67s and their past weekend in the OHL. Last Friday night, a 7-2 win versus the Belleville Bulls at home at the Jay Benson Cartage Center, a game that both you and I attended, and that Dalton Smith's hat-trick led them to victory, along with a 5-point performance from Tyler Toffoli. What were your thoughts on that game, both from the 67s and what you saw from the Bulls?
Well, the Bulls were without their top goaltender, and it did show a little bit, but, the 67s brought their A game, and it really shows when one of your more of a grinder type of player ends up with a hat trick. It just shows the work ethic and just the way the game's going for them. They were getting the bounces, getting pucks to the net, and they just dominated most of the game, jumping out to the 4-0 lead after the first period, and they just never looked back, cruised on to the victory.
And the 67s kept rolling on Saturday night as they were in Belleville as the second half of a home-and-home series, and they won another one 3-2. And the 67s, John McFarland made his debut in a 67s uniform after coming over in a trade from the Saginaw Spirit, which we'll get to shortly. Sunday, the 67s moved a little further west and took on the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors and took care of them handily with a 4-0 win. John McFarland scored his first goal and had his first assist in a 67s uniform, and Tyler Toffoli scored as well to cap off a 10-point weekend. 3 goals, 7 assists, plus 8 Toffoli was, in order to earn him the OHL and CHL Player of the Week honors. As we mentioned, 2 trades for the 67s at the trade deadline, or approaching the trade deadline. Friday, January 6th, in the morning prior to that first game against the Belleville Bulls, the 67s sent rookie forward David Perkland and a 4th-round pick to the Saginaw Spirit for John McFarland. To that point, Perkland had not registered a point, and McFarland had about 41. at the time of the trade. What do you evaluate that trade for 67s?
Well, you bring in a veteran guy like McFarland, who is producing points, trading him for a rookie who's not producing, and then they also brought in Mike Cazzola from Erie, which now it gives them 3 lines that are serious scoring threats whenever they're on the ice, and that's going to give them a lot of depth to push for a playoff championship.
As you said, 67s bring in Mike Cazzola on Sunday night after that game against Mississauga. Cazzola, an overage centerman from the Erie Otters. Cazzola and a 12th round pick from Erie, and 67 sending a 5th round pick, a 2nd rounder, and a 7th rounder to Erie in 3 consecutive years, starting in 2013. Moving along to this weekend, the 67s face the Peterborough Petes at home at the J. Benson Cartage Center on Friday night. 67's currently leading the Petes by 11 points for first place in the Eastern Division. The Petes look like they're going to have a little bit of difficulty scoring as they've traded their top point getter, Austin Watson, to the London Knights at the trade deadline. 67's already lead this season series 4-0 after having scored at least 5 goals in 3 of those games. How do you think the Petes fare up against this newly revamped 67 squad?
Well, anybody can win on any night. That's the beauty of this game, but if the 67s bring their A game to this one, I don't think the Petes have much of a chance unless their goaltender stands on his head. But with the 2 new trades, with Toffoli playing the way he is, Shane Prince coming in there, you just have a lot of firepower up front. Mrazek's now back from the great World Junior performance he has, so he's not going to look back on that. Their defense is playing strong. I honestly think the 67s should be able to take this one if they bring their best effort to the rink.
And Sunday, it's the Belleville Bulls once again back in Ottawa as these teams play play against each other for the 3rd time in the last 10 days. 67's going to see Jordan Subban back in the Bulls lineup after his stint with Team Ontario at the Under-17 Championship. The 67's also lead this season series 4-1 after those 2 big wins last weekend. How do the Bulls have to answer in order to kind of show that they're definitely a contender going into the playoff season?
Well, they just have to show up and, they have to battle. And like I said, anybody can win on any night. And Malcolm Subban is now going to be in net. He wasn't here last week. That'll be a difference maker. And in this game, it'll be a chance to see 2 highly touted prospects, Subban being the top North American goalie, Cody Ceci being one of the top North American defensemen, both of whom were just given the word that they're going to be at the top prospects game. So that'll be a good game and a good chance to see a couple highly touted prospects.
All right, moving along here, a couple of OHL trade deadline notable trades that went down on the past week. Greg McKaig, the Toronto Maple Leafs prospect, traded from the Erie Otters to the London Knights. The powerhouse London Knights currently rated 2nd in the country in the BMOS CHL MasterCard Top 10 rankings. Ryan Spooner, the Canadian forward that was accepted to the Team Canada selection camp but had to miss it due to mononucleosis, was traded from the Kingston Frontenacs to the Sarnia Sting along with teammate Tyler Brown. J.P. Anderson, the goaltender that backstopped the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors to the OHL and Memorial Cup finals last year, was traded to Sarnia in exchange for their starting goaltender Brandon Maxwell. And Team Canada defenseman Jamie Alexiak traded from the Saginaw Spirit to the Niagara Ice Dogs. A big trade, Jamie, as that means that the Ice Dogs now hold 5 members from that Canadian bronze medalist team as they move into the postseason as well.
Yeah, adding Alexiak to the likes of Strome, the Hamiltons, Dougie and Freddie, Mark Vizentine, that's just going to strengthen the back end there. And now the Ice Dogs are another contender for the OHL Championship, having made that deal.
We move away from the Ontario Hockey League and move back to that World Junior Championship that recently concluded in Calgary and Edmonton, Alberta last weekend. You'll take us through exactly what you saw last week.
Well, to start, there was some controversy with the MVP choices in the tournament. Peter Mrazek did not get the nod against the Americans when he stood on his head and got the win. That being said, he had already won it the last game against Canada, so that's probably justified. However, when he scored 4 goals against Team Latvia, Swedish forward Max Freeberg did not get the nod, and he had not yet won the MVP. There's definitely some confusion as to what the MVP, who chooses it, and whatever they were thinking.
Often a conundrum at this tournament is the MVP choice. in that game, it didn't really make any sense at all. Philips Forsberg from Sweden wins the MVP award, has no points. Max Friberg scores 4 goals in a 9-4 Sweden victory. You take away those 4 goals, Sweden still wins the game, and maybe that's where they get the selection for Forsberg away, but you got to go with the guy that scores the most points, you would think, in a hockey game like that.
Yeah, you would certainly think so, but Sweden did, play the rest of that tournament very strong. Congratulations to them on capturing the gold. Russia silver, Canada bronze. And with Sweden's victory, that means the top 4 teams have each won once of the past 4 years. Obviously, Canada has not won in the past 3 years, which is slightly disappointing to the hometown fans this year.
Yes, going back to that win in Ottawa 2009, the last time that the Canadians were able to capture World Junior Gold after those 2 heartbreaking losses in gold medal finals in 2010 in Saskatchewan and Regina to the U.S., and in Buffalo last year, that third period collapse to Team Russia, and this year Team Sweden takes the gold. So those top 4 teams that are usually the contenders are able to kind of show that there's a little bit of parity amongst at the junior level, at least among the top teams.
Yeah, for sure, but at the other end of the spectrum, there always has to say goodbye to somebody being relegated back to Division 1, and this year, bye-bye Denmark, hello Germany for next year. On a slightly unrelated note, I am proposing an all-name team. They have the MVP, the top defenseman, the top goalie, the top forward. They have their all-star team. Why not make a team of the best names around the world? Because we know there certainly are some wonderful names out there. So I have come up with the best 3 forward names, 2 defensemen, and goaltender according to myself and Mr. Clayton over here. Here it is. The forward lineup for the all-name World Junior 2012 all-name team. From Team Canada, number 20, Boone Jenner. From Denmark, who are number 25, Rasmus Bjerrum. From Latvia, wearing number 22, Zemgus Girgensons. On defense, Switzerland's number 4, Phil Baltusberger. Also from Latvia, how can you not love their names? Number 7, Pauls Zaverbulis. And the goaltender from Finland, number 30, Sami Aitakallio.
Aitakallio had some stiff competition in the name department and on the ice in the goaltending department from Andrei Vasilevsky, the Russian goaltender, but I think Aitakallio definitely takes the cake in the name department.
Our next segment, the fourth line facts of the week. And in this, we take the best fact of a fourth liner. This, our first one, going to former Ottawa Senator and now Minnesota Wild, Brian McGrattan. And his great fact, well, for every goal he scores in the NHL, he averages only 150.3 penalty minutes. He's only scored 3 goals.
McGrattan has only scored 3 goals. He has 451 penalty minutes on his career. That's your fourth line fact for this week. But as part of our regular segment, kind of goes along with our World Junior all-name team, the name of the week. We will keep this segment going, but we felt following the World Juniors we needed an all-name team. But nonetheless, we're going to stick with our name of the week. And we're not going to stray too far to get that name.
No, this week's name of the week, coming straight from the World Juniors, he plays for the USHL's Dubuque Fighting Saints, born in Riga, Latvia, wearing number 22 for Latvia in your World Junior program, captain of the all-name team, Zemgus Girgensons.
Anybody with the name Zemgus, probably going to make the all-name team. If you have the last name Girgensons, you probably have a good chance as well. Anything of the sort, if you're from Latvia, it doesn't hurt either. Anyways, moving along to our last segment, it's the You're Off the Case moment of the week, otherwise known as the Screw Up of the Week. This week going to Columbus head coach, or former head coach, Scott Arniel, after he was fired Monday. Todd Richards takes over on an interim basis for the Blue Jackets, but quite frankly, Arniel just couldn't get it done for the Blue Jackets. GM Scott Howson said he gave him the benefit of the doubt as the Blue Jackets moves through some injuries, but once everybody was healthy and they couldn't get it done, it was just time to pull the plug.
Yeah, and I don't know, we said it's the screw-up of the week, but that one might be the screw-up of the year. They have some talent on that team, but they just couldn't get the job done, and Scott Arniel, just like Sergei Bobrovsky, you're off the case. Anyway, folks, that's all the time we have for this week. We'll be coming back to you approximately same time, approximately same place in a week from now.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Alongside Jamie Shinkuski, I'm Clayton Johns, and that is You're Off the Case, the Ottawa Hockey Podcast for this day, January the 12th, 2012.